Every summer, law school graduates across the country face a rite of passage, the bar exam. Attorneys come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, and yet the one thing we all have in common is that we all took and passed the bar exam, eventually. At Parlatore Law Group, we stand in solidarity in supporting those law school graduates who are taking the bar exam this summer, and we thought that we would share some of our stories with you.
So, February of 2010, Washington, D.C. had like a huge snowstorm, and it was called, at the time, Snowpocalypse. Snowmageddon had happened in December when like the city is shut down because DC is a southern city, cannot handle snow, and this was a lot of snow. And I had so it was shut down completely. You couldn't go anywhere. The metro was closed. You could go to the ER, but it was going to be tricky for you to get there. Ambulances were the only cars that were on the road, and everything was closed. And I had 18-month-old, 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old at home. And they were home because everything was closed. And I couldn't go to the library, couldn't go to the coffee shop, I couldn't go anywhere to get some quiet time to study for the bar. And so I ended up biking, which was ridiculous, but it was the fastest way to get there, to a friend's house in the snow across town where he was going to be staying at his boyfriend's, and I could have a quiet place without children wanting to play with me. And so I spent a long weekend at my friend's apartment. We did go out once for a snowball fight in DuPont Circle, but that was the only quiet study time I got the 2 weeks leading up to the bar exam. And then the rest of the time I was at home digging the sidewalks out, and of course making lots of snow angels with my kids, but none of that was super helpful for studying. So luckily by the time the exam came, the life was kind of getting back to normal, and I was able to take the train up to Baltimore from DC to take the bar exam. But it was, it felt still a bit surreal because I really hadn't been able to focus on studying for it, so I had no idea how it was going to go, and it was it's just going to be what it's going to be, and maybe I'll have to retake it. Luckily, I'm a good test taker, so I didn't have to retake it. But the whole month was this surreal experience in which the nation's capital was shut down because of snow. And trying to study in the midst of that was really difficult. But it was also, I'll never forget it. But I recommend not taking the bar exam during a snowpocalypse if you can avoid it.
So when I took the bar exam, everybody was, of course, all stressed out about it. And I took a different approach to it, as I take a different approach to most things. And I thought, this can't be any more stressful than any experience that I had when I was in the Navy. And I decided to take a different approach to my study. So whereas all my classmates all sat there all day, locked in their rooms with their books, I took all of my books and I put them in my rucksack. And then I took audio lectures, which were originally on CD, and I turned them into MP3s, put them on an old MP3 player before smartphones, put them on my headset, and then I spent the weeks leading up to the bar exam just hiking laps around Lower Manhattan with all the bar exam review books on my back to weigh me down, to get in shape, and just listen to the lectures over and over again. This was really a good method for me because by the time I got into the bar exam, I just sat there and the questions came up and I could hear the professor's voice in my head just saying all the elements of each cause of action and every crime and everything, and it was actually pretty easy for me. I know that my experience is unique. It's not the same as everybody else's, but in New York, they break up the bar exam into 4 3-hour sections, morning and afternoon section over 2 days. So I was able to finish each section actually in about an hour and a half, because I had all of the professor's words pretty much ringing in my ears up ahead. And so when I got out every morning early, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there with a few hours to kill, and nothing with me. I'm in Midtown West. No books, no nothing, and I walk out of the place. It's not the most populous area of the city. There's nothing there but an Irish bar. So I would just go into the Irish bar both days. I sat down. The bartender comes over and says, "Hey, so what are you doing?" "Well, I'm taking the bar exam, so don't give me too many." So just had a nice lunch. Went back and was nice and relaxed for the afternoon session.
Hi, my name is Maria Jose Rivera, and I took the Florida bar exam. And when I took it, it was quite an experience. I took this last year. By the way, that was not my first time. So for this time taking it, it was going to be an experience that I had no idea was coming. It was April, and I had decided to take it again. And I was like, okay, all right, let's do it. And, this was right in the pandemic. So when that happened, we weren't sure how it was going to go. And around May, they decided that, they were going to have it in person, and they were going to do it in multiple convention centers as opposed to just one. So we were going to do it in Orlando for me. So during that time, I just had to get myself ready up for studying. It was like, here we go, the 2-day session, the 200 multiple choice, and then the Florida session for the 3 essays and the 100 questions. And I was studying and just jamming and trying to get myself up for it around August, around July 1st. A few weeks before the exam, we get a notification correspondence saying, we're not going to have this exam in July. And not only that, but we're changing the subject area. So, for all of you that know about the MBE is one of the most, heart-wrenching. It just really takes a lot of energy from you. I was doing a practice exam that same day. And on that day, that's when we got the correspondence saying, actually, no, this is not going to go on in the exam. So, it was just kind of like, all right, let me just switch this up. And it was just going to be Florida. So for Florida Day, the subject areas were going to be essays and 100 questions. So, it was like, okay, fine, I got this. After that processing, it was like, okay, well, it's actually pretty good that I wasn't going to be having to worry about those questions because historically multiple choice was not my area of expertise. I like to write and I like to analyze a little bit more. So, it was taking a lot of me to get myself ready. And I feel like on that day that I felt so ready, it was like, no, let it go. So anyway, I had to prep for the Florida with, you don't really have a long time to just kind of like switch it up. So, and the new day was going to be August, like the second week of August. So here I was again, just kind of like readjusting, adapting to what was going to be Florida. So, all right, okay, we're ready. I was doing a mock exam just for Florida, essays, 100 questions. And then around like 3 nights before this exam, we get an email from the Florida bar saying, this exam is going to be canceled. And the reason why was because they couldn't promise security. During this time, it was the first time in the history of Florida that they were doing it online with all these new subjects. So, they couldn't promise security. And so 3 nights before, we got that correspondence, and it was just completely, just devastating. It was like, are you kidding me? On top of everything, we were, I think more than anything, we were just ready to be done. But it's like, what do you do, right? I took a break at that point. They didn't even give us a new date, so it was just like, okay, take a break, recharge, do something else. It was my mom's birthday, so we went, for a trip, and okay. And so when I got back, around a few weeks after, they just told us, well, okay, it's gonna be in October. And then they gave us the subject areas. So that for me was really helpful a little bit, because I was able to prepare for anticipation. And with this exam, you have to find everything that you can to figure yourself out, right? It's one of those mini challenges where you have to like know yourself and just find what you need to do for you. And so being able to have that subject area in mind, I was able to just kind of like, okay, for Florida constitutional, what are all the possible issues? For federal common law, what are all the possible issues? And so that's what I did. I just anticipated as much as possible. I prepped and like a real exam as much as possible. And when that day came, it was just amazing. And that was it. It was definitely a huge weight off your shoulder. And so to all of you, best of luck. You got this. Know yourself, trust yourself, and forget about everything else.
I want to leave you with this thought that somebody told me when I was studying for the bar exam. Think about all the lawyers that you know. And you know that there's that one lawyer that you met who is, quite frankly, a complete idiot. And just remember, they passed the bar exam. Now, in all seriousness, we want to wish everybody the best of luck. The bar exam is difficult. It is a rite of passage, and some people do end up taking and passing it after the first, second, or third time. If you look in history, we've had many famous people who failed the bar exam the first time around. We have mayors, governors, members of Congress, senators, even our current Vice President, Kamala Harris, and one of the greatest presidents in history, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. All failed the bar exam their first time around. So, we at Parlatore Law Group wish you all the best of luck and look forward to welcoming you to the profession.